I am Vinnie Tortorich. Folks, your good intentions have been stolen, but don't worry. I'm here to help you get them back. Back. You may be soft and succulent at the beginning of this process, but hang in there. Before long, you will be lean and mean, guaranteed, just like the beautiful Miss Anna Vocino. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I love the grand concert hall of applause. Thank you so much.
Anna, it's funny, right before, and I haven't read this article yet. You know, I'm going to send it to you, and then maybe you can look through it. It might be, let's see, is this an article or is this like a YouTube thing? Oh, it's an article, Anna. So during the show, maybe we can filter through this.
We love it. We love an article.
Let me send this to Anna. You know, it's basically, it says that, I'll tell you after I hit send here. My friend Tom Otis just sent me this. Sarcopenia, coffee molecules may improve aging muscles. And
what?
Tom is like 75 to 77 years old, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he wrote, I drink enough coffee, you know, I should look like Atlas. So
with the weight of the world on your shoulders.
Yeah. So, you know, look, I'm going to say this, and this just this whole thing about, I don't know what this article says. I don't know who did the article. I don't know how it was put out. Anna's going to whip
Did
through
you send it to me?
Yeah, I just sent it.
There it is. Got it.
So here's the deal. One of my first big curiosities in health, you know, in the early days when I was end of high school, getting into college, I remember asking Dr. Hirsch one time, because I was already a coffee freak, right? I was drinking coffee famously from the time I was 4 years old. My grandfather would, you know, I would tell him I wanted my milk to be colored. So he would put a little coffee in my milk in the morning and put a little sugar in there. So it was a sweet drink.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I did. I love it. The flavor of the coffee and the milk and the whole thing. And so I did that. And by the time I got to high school, I got into drinking coffee. Sometimes I would have it black with sugar and sometimes just black, right? That was my two preferred methods. And if you go, well, wait, you liked it with and without sugar? Yes, I just got way into the coffee flavor. I was not any kind of connoisseur. All of my coffee was a medium or a dark roast made by a company. If you're from Mississippi, Alabama, or Louisiana, you know the company is called Community Coffee. I think in Louisiana, 90% of all coffee consumed is community back in the day. Now Starbucks could. But as a matter of fact, Community opened up their own CC coffee shops, community coffee shops, which looks like a Starbucks. So when I'm down there, I'll go into those. As a matter of fact, over at purecoffeeclub.com, my athletic blend mimics the medium roast Community. That I was trying to mimic that because that was one of my favorite early coffees. At any rate, I remember asking Dr. Hirsch, our family doctor and friend. My mom went to school with, and my dad, they both went to school with Dr. Michelle Hirsch. As I like to say, down in the Deep South, they like to keep the Italians and the Jews together so they could keep an eye on us. Where they did it down there. So we were good friends with the Hirsch family, and I would ask him all the time, Dr. Hirsch, what's wrong with coffee? He would go, well, it's not really healthy for you. I was like, why? And he would go, caffeine. Mm-hmm. I would go, what's wrong with caffeine? Now, listen, folks, we're talking 1979.
Right.
This is Curious George Vinnie in 1979.
Right.
Going, I went to the encyclopedia, World Book Encyclopedias. You know, I had the whole group of them. It's like coffee is a stimulant. Why is that bad? It was not good for your heart. But, you know, it says that, you know, the number one drink in the world's coffee. Yeah, but it's not good. But the whole world's drinking it. Not, this is everywhere in the world, Doc. Yeah, I don't know. Not too much. Just a little bit. You know, he used to. And that's when I knew I was on to something. When you can have a medical doctor and you're a 17 or a 16-year-old kid and you can confuse them with questions, that was the same thing I did with the nuns in religion.
Yeah, I bet.
I wasn't trying to be cantankerous or anything. I was
No,
just
I think you were born cantankerous.
right, but I was curious. I just wanted answers, and I didn't want to bullshit because we said so answer.
Right.
Right. And since I was the nerdy kid who didn't really have friends that had a set of encyclopedias, 26 volumes, A through Z, I would look up things.
Right. You had time to investigate answers.
Yeah. I was bored. So I'd go pull out those encyclopedias. Right. And so that was that. Right. He couldn't give me a real answer. And then through college, I remember they started this ad campaign, the coffee generation.
Right.
Like coffee was pushing. It was like, we're coffee achievers. And they would have people like, football stars, not Joe Theismann. I want to say Joe Montana. Joe Montana was a coffee achiever, right? And they would run these ads. I'm going to see if I can find a coffee. Let's see. Coffee. I need to learn how to spell.
Coffee achievers.
Let's see if I can find one of these. Coffee achievers commercials featuring Hart. Wait, what?
Oh. What a crossover.
I don't remember this one. All right, so I'm going to play one of them here. So this was like the early 80s, and I was like, finally, someone's agreeing with me because we at Tulane, we had every afternoon, those big coffee things, Anna, like the big giant commercial coffee thing.
Yeah.
We had two of those as you walked into the locker room. There were two of those. I would always pour myself a cup while I was getting ready for practice. And then, after I had my pads on, I would go get another couple of hits. And I got to be honest with you, it's an ergogenic aid. We didn't know much about it back then, but we knew.
Meaning like it gives you the energy to do your workout.
Yeah, and now we know. Let me play this ad. I'm going to talk about what it does ergogenically. All right, so let's see if we got it here. Hang on. Is it not coming?
You are the new American society, the movers, the shakers. You are the new coffee generation.
Because coffee is the calm moment that lets you think. Coffee gives you the time to dream it and the vitality to do it. No other drink does that like coffee.
Oh, wow.
Join the coffee achievers. You are the new American society, the movers and the shakers.
So you get the idea, right?
You're the new American society.
They're showing Hart.
You're a real society fella, man about town.
Now listen. Mm-hmm. As I always say, you always got to find out who's doing the ad. Now the Coffee Association. Uh-huh. So I think they had a vested interest in telling everyone to be a coffee achiever, but
You're a new society, man.
Right? And now we didn't know this about coffee back then. We didn't know that, it's an ergogenic aid. Mm-hmm. Now, how do we know definitely it's an ergogenic aid? I've said on this podcast 1,000 times, if it's banned by WADA or the IOC, like people go, hey,
I don't know what those are.
I will tell you.
Okay, great.
I always, people go, hey, there's this new supplement everyone's taking in triathlon. It's supposed to do this, that, and the other thing. It's like, okay, is it banned by WADA? No. Is it banned by the IOC? No, it's not. Okay, it's not doing a fucking thing for you. I don't care what you think it's doing.
Okay.
If WADA and the IOC is okay with it, WADA is the World Athletic Doping Association.
Oh.
The World Anti-Doping Association. They were the ones, the guy, Richard Pond, Dick Pond was the guy that was always going after Lance Armstrong during his career. He was the head of WADA, right? So WADA was, always getting Lance Armstrong to pee into a cup more than any other athlete.
And he look what they came up with.
And he still figured out a way to beat him, right? Athletes are always one step ahead. The IOC that's International Olympic Committee. Now.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Coffee in the IOC is a banned substance. Not coffee. Let me go back. Caffeine.
Okay.
But you're allowed as an athlete to have the equivalent, I think, of 1 or 2 cups of coffee in you. So they never test athletes
For
for caffeine. But if they wanted to, they could, because what was happening is in the Olympics, a lot of these runners were having coffee enemas and getting like a big giant dose of caffeine right before they ran and hold it in their intestines and then just, squat it out right before they got it in the starting blocks.
Okay.
And they went, okay, this is a step too far. So they put it in there
It's very,
so they can use it at their discretion.
I mean,
right?
they are athletes. They have very controlled bowels.
Well, no, when you squirt that in there, it's ready to come out. They would hold it so it would get into their bloodstream really fast, like a high dose of it, and then blow it out and then get in the starting blocks.
Okay.
Athletes will do crazy things.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about people who will blood dope. So come on, squirting something up your ass, not a,
not a big deal.
Yeah, that's just.
Oh, they should invent for female athletes caffeine tampons.
Yeah, just shove it up your crotch.
It would get into your bloodstream.
Boom. Yeah. So, at any rate, the IOC it's illegal at certain amounts in your bloodstream.
Okay.
But they use it at their discretion, and they don't really. So it's a banned substance as far as they're concerned, because it actually does something. In aerobic athletes, it gives you the perceived effort is lower. You don't have the same, you're working harder and your perceived effort is lower.
Okay.
It does a few other things too. Also with strength, you don't get to the burning feeling as fast. So it helps with that. You're getting that, the lactic acid pump. So you're able to get an extra rep or 2 out. So there's an ergogenic effect in sports. It helps. And we've learned that, some of the properties in coffee will help. It's healthy. Now, the American Heart Association came out about 2 years ago now and started crowing about the more coffee you drink, the better it is for your heart. Now, are they saying that because, the sugar people, they're also in business?
Yeah, I was wondering, qualified. They're not saying the more black coffee you drink, are they?
I don't know if they said that, but I do, maybe that's something we can look up. They just said for every cup of coffee you drink, you lower your rate of getting a heart attack by 10%. If you drink just 20%. Now, again, I own a coffee company. I don't have a horse in this race. I'm not trying to get people to drink coffee. I don't give a fuck if you drink it or not. Right. The bottom line is this.
So delicious, especially yours.
Shut up, Anna.
No, I like it.
Put butter in my ass. So what I'm saying is, how do I know the coffee people, the coffee association didn't go in and give money just like Coca-Cola and, Unilever and all those? Maybe they did, but that came out with the Heart Association about 2 years ago.
Okay.
Now, you just got an article. I have not vetted this article. It was sent to me by my buddy Tom, who's in his mid to late 70s. And he wanted me to vet it, and I'll read it later, and I'll vet it. But we got it right before the show. And did you see anything? Can you read something?
Yeah. Okay. It's from medicalnewstoday.com. I have no idea about this website. It gives 3 summary points at the beginning, then I'll get into the article. Number 1, sarcopenia, which is the progressive loss of muscle mass and strength, affects many adults when they get older. Already, I'm going to stop because I have a question for you.
Okay.
I thought sarcopenia, which is loss of muscle mass and strength, I thought it happens to everybody who doesn't do any sort of resistance training.
Sarcopenia is, all right, so let me clarify it.
Yeah, to clarify the definition for us.
Okay, sarcopenia is the, degeneration of muscle as you age, right?
Okay.
So you can have muscle wasting for medical reasons or anything like that. Or if you just sit on the couch and you're veal, yes, you're going to have muscle loss.
Okay.
But, sarcopenia refers to the pound of muscle you lose per year. That starts at around your 35th birthday and continues on, let's say you live to be 85. If you do that math, you can lose half of your body mass in muscle. The medical community will say that there's nothing you can do. The best thing you can do is exercise to combat sarcopenia, but they'll tell you that there's no stopping it. I can tell you, being a 61-year-old male, I haven't stopped it, but I've retarded it as much as you can possibly retard something, right? Because I carry a fair amount of muscle. I stay as lean as I do, right? I don't have any, love handles or anything, no muffin top. I'm pretty tight.
Yep.
Yet I keep my weight right at around 175 year in and year out. So I'm probably not losing bone and muscle as fast as I would be. I've been this weight. As a matter of fact, when I was cycling, I was the same leanness in the waist, right? Mm-hmm. Meaning no fat anywhere.
Like you wore the same size jeans.
Right. Actually, they were smaller because my quads were smaller and tighter. I weighed during the season 155 to 160. I didn't have any upper body mass because I let all of that go away because I had that bad shoulder and everything. I've put muscle on between my 50th birthday and my 61st. I've actually gained muscle. Now, can I gain the way I did when I was 25 or 30? Back when I was, taking shells with, pictures with conch shells? No, I don't look anything like that.
Right.
But people like me and guys like Dr. Sean Baker, who's, I think Sean's 4 or 5 years younger than me. He's at least, let's say he's 56, 57, right? We're keeping muscle on and we're not doing any kind of TRT or any of that.
Okay.
Right? So you're able to do it if you're willing to work your ass off. As you know, I work out every day.
Right.
I spend at least 3, if not 4 days a week lifting heavy things. The rest of the time I'm doing aerobics, right? So I've been maintaining without really losing any muscle mass to any degree over the years, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But I know Tom very well. We shoot skeet together. He's pretty good shape. As a matter of fact, to my direction, he bought a Concept 2 during the pandemic. And he tells me he uses it a couple of 2 or 3 times a week. And I think he uses it for 15 or 20 minutes, which is about what he can do, right? And Tom is in very good shape for his age. But there's some muscle wasting there. And I'm sure Tom is concerned about that, right?
Yeah.
But he keeps himself active. He's out there on the skeet field most days. When it's warm, I know he plays tennis. And he still takes tennis lessons. And he told me he does something else, and I can't remember what it is, but he stays active is what I'm trying to get to, right?
Okay.
So the guy stays very active, and maybe he should put on a little more muscle or try to at least retard the amount of muscle loss he might get at 77 years old. So did I explain sarcopenia?
Yeah. I think that's great.
Okay,
Thank you.
So go on.
Okay, so that was the first bullet point. Second bullet point, the loss of muscle mass can contribute to mobility problems, frailty, and subsequent reduction in independence for many older people. The third bullet point says, researchers, including from Nestle Research, I'm assuming it's associated with the food company? Oh, I don't know.
It may be, but there's also a Dr. Nestle.
Yeah. Researchers, including from Nestle Research, found that a compound found in coffee and fenugreek, but also made in the microbiome in the gut, improves energy metabolism and muscle fibers in humans, mice, and worms. Obviously, the humans are the ones we're most interested in hearing.
Yeah, screw those extra muscular mice, man.
What is a worm with a muscle? Is it just like one bicep squirming around? Like what?
Yeah, they look a big, kind of pumped up, The other worms look at them and, it's like, yeah, exactly.
Okay, here's the article. Sarcopenia describes the loss of skeletal muscle that occurs naturally as we age. Approximately Approximately 10% to 16% of people over the age of 65 are thought to be affected worldwide, and prevalence is higher in people with other conditions, for example, cancer and diabetes. I'm just pausing in case you have anything to say, but I'll keep going.
Go on.
It is a natural part of aging, and the average adult loses about 250 grams of muscle each year between the ages of 30 and 60, and this accelerates after the age of 70. This can lead to mobility problems, falls, and frailty that often leads to a loss of independence in older people. As such, it represents a significant disease burden in an aging population.
Okay, hang on.
Mm-hmm.
So a few things there. Yes. We always talk about it when you fall when you're younger, you bounce.
Right.
You fall when you hit 75 and things could break. Where it was, so-and-so broke their hip and it was their demise. That was the beginning of the end. Within 3 years, so-and-so was dead because he or she broke her hip when she fell or he fell. Right. We hear this all the time. That's why I always tell people we somehow don't think of losing bone. We can see muscle loss, but we can't see bone loss.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, they do really work hand in hand. If you keep your muscle strong and the connective tissue, the ligaments, the tendons, and everything else, you're also exercising your bones. That's why I tell people walking is so important because, walking is a weight-bearing exercise. You're bearing the weight of your frame, of your skeleton. We're bipods, right? So we're actually always walking will keep those bones thick and strong. That's why it's so important to not just hit the weights as you get older, but walk. Or if you can jump rope for just a couple of minutes every day, or just do something. Howie Mandel's mom, I thought Howie was punking me one day. His mom was in her 80s, and I walked into, because I would just walk into Howie's house. There was no ringing of the doorbell. And his mom was in the living area, and she was jumping rope, except there was no rope.
That's
she
funny.
was just doing the motion. And I said, "Hello, Miss Mandel." She goes, "Hi, Vinnie." And she just kept jumping, like swinging her arms and jumping like she was jumping rope. And I went, okay, I'm not biting because I know there's a camera on me. I'm just going to keep walking, right? I know if I bite, I'm going to end up in a video somewhere. And so I got to the gym, and Howie was already on the treadmill warming up. And I said, "Look, what's the gig? What's going on?" And he goes, "What are you talking about?" I went, don't what are you talking about me? Your mom's in the other room pretending to jump rope without a jump rope. Obviously, I was supposed to react to that. I didn't see anyone with a cell phone or a camera, so what's up? He goes, "Oh, she's jumping rope." I said, "Well, would you like to go in there and tell her that there's no rope?" And he goes, "Oh, she stopped using the rope about 5 years ago." I said, "Well, what?" He goes, "Yeah, she figured, she was missing too much, so she could still do the same motion with her hands and just."
That's actually a really good idea.
And she never misses. And I said, "How long does she go for?" He goes, "Sometimes 10 or 15 minutes. Now, by the way, Howie's mom was I'm hoping she's still with us. I need to find out if she is or not. The fittest woman on the planet, if you saw her. And that's when Howie told me, he goes, when she's up at her apartment in Canada, she's got a big giant house apartment thing. She runs around her apartment naked. And I was like, okay, why naked? And he goes, because she just runs around, or she gets on a treadmill and she does it naked, because why sweat up some clothes when she's just going to jump into the shower anyway?
That's hilarious.
And it's like, the woman is smarter than, it's like, that's what she did. But if you saw this woman, you go, she did not look her age, not even close.
Right.
Right. And if you look at Howie, who I want to say 7 or 8 years. So Howie's got to be getting up on 70 now. He's like 68, 69. The guy
Howie always looks great.
He looks amazing because he always works out. He runs every day. He does all of these things, right?
Yeah.
And he watches what he eats. And look at him. The guy just looks amazing. He stays young. So exercise is the fountain of youth. And if you stop exercising, or if you, I'm just going to sit on this couch, I'm getting old, or I'm just going to sit here and have a drink, smoke a cigarette or whatever, you're not doing everything you can for your health.
Right.
And that's when you're going to start losing muscle mass, soft tissue and bone mass, the other thing they talk about, grip. They say as you get older, grip strength has a lot to do with longevity.
You don't want to return back to your baby grip strength.
What that refers to, the grip strength?
What?
People, they start to fall, and if they can't grab
grab onto the railing or whatever.
So that's grip strength means a lot.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I masturbate as often as I can, Anna, because I'm trying to keep my
thing. You just grab a hold of it.
Grab it. It's like a fire hose.
Don't let go.
2 hands, Anna, like this. 2 hands. Yeah.
Well, maybe that worm has some more muscle mass. If you know what I'm saying.
I don't want
that coffee.
By the way, this is gross, but they talk about that if you stop having they out there, the National Masturbation Association.
Oh, okay. NAMS.
Yeah.
National Association of Masturbating.
Yeah.
Sirs.
You're supposed to masturbate or at least have sex because it keeps your, sex organs, sex hormones rocking and rolling. I don't know much about it, but I've heard. So I just don't want to take.
That's what they're saying out there in those streets.
I do not want to take any chances.
Good for you.
Yeah, I do what I have to do.
Good for you.
They say the world's not enough. Having a Bond girl sometimes is not enough. You just have to do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do. Well, hold on.
So
I went down the rabbit hole of reading the actual study.
Yeah.
It's complicated. So let me go back to the essay we were reading in the medical news today. A recent study looking at worms, male mice, and tissue samples taken from male participants affected by sarcopenia investigated the molecular mechanisms underpinning this condition. They found that a compound found in coffee and fenugreek, but also made in the microbiome in the gut, can improve muscle function in aging humans, mice, and worms. The results were published in a letter to Nature Metabolism. Can sarcopenia be stopped? Dr. Kubanich Takerbashev, the health and wellness advisor at NAO, who has previously worked as a doctor specializing in critical care of older adults who was not involved in the study, explained to Medical News Today how sarcopenia affects aging humans. Quote, one of the most concerning implications of sarcopenia is the increased risk of falls and fractures. Declining muscle mass and strength contribute to decreased mobility and agility, making individuals more susceptible to accidents. Okay, and he goes on. We already discussed that. Past research has indicated that people who engage in physical exercise are less likely to develop sarcopenia. Poor nutrition, including not eating enough protein, is also associated with sarcopenia. However, there are a few interventions other than these that can be recommended for people affected. Now, this is Anna commenting. Lest you find that there's some sort of shortcut, or you don't use this as I think you have to do the exercise and the correct nutrition. Just saying. But I'll continue to read the article.
I was just saying before you read it, so he finally, a doctor is agreeing with me. Coffee, exercise, and eating properly, getting some protein in you.
That protein. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to synthesize, once you use the muscle, you got to groove it, baby. You got to do what you got to do.
Well, this doctor also says here, quote, although sarcopenia can affect both men and women, my observations suggest that men might experience a higher prevalence of sarcopenia due to factors such as hormonal changes and decreased physical activity. Menopausal women say, hold my beer.
Yeah.
Sarcopenia usually becomes problematic after the age of 50, but the early signs of muscle weakness can be detectable before age 50, blah, blah, blah. Okay. How metabolism affects sarcopenia and aging muscles. In this study, an international team of researchers looked specifically at the role of oxidized nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, NAD+, is what we're going to call it, levels on sarcopenia. NAD+ is a coenzyme involved in metabolism in all cells in eukaryotic organisms. That's us. We are eukaryotic organisms. It is involved in redox reactions in the Krebs cycle and glycolysis, for example. It is present in the mitochondria, where it plays an important role in energy homeostasis. Previous research by these scientists had shown that low levels of it, along with lower mitochondrial energy production, were associated with greater skeletal muscle aging and sarcopenia.
Let me comment right here. NAD, that supplement has been around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
They call it the Fountain of Youth supplement. And people have asked me about NAD, on the phone calls and what have you. I get asked about NAD all the time. And if you go Google NAD, you're going to see no shortage of it's a miracle drug, right? It's not a drug. It's a supplement.
It's a coenzyme.
Enzyme, NAD. All right. Here's the deal. Will taking NAD significantly change your life? No, absolutely not. I don't care which ad you read or whatever you read.
Right.
Does it hurt?
Panacea.
Right. Will it hurt by you taking it? Absolutely not. So if you got money you want to waste to throw around, take all the NAD you want. But it sounds like what they're saying here is that coffee actually causes a reaction in the gut because of these certain nutrients. I wouldn't call them nutrients, I guess. The coffee along with something else. You read it at the beginning of the article.
Yeah. Well, I think the next thing is going to...
But just let me be clear on NAD.
Launch into the trigonelline.
We do lose significant amounts of NAD as we get older, and they're always saying take NAD supplements and
they're saying that for menopausal women too. Nicotinamide and NAD ads are everywhere saying it's going to help alleviate every perimenopause symptoms you've ever had.
I've had guys, no, they're telling me it works like taking steroids, and it's like, listen, again, if it worked that well, WADA and the IOC would be up and down the street on that. Right.
Well, and also too, again, I keep coming back to look at how the first two recommendations are exercise and get proper nutrition. It's always that. You're never going to bypass it.
Right.
Sorry.
People always say, yeah. Now, what else you got? What can I ingest?
Yeah. But what pill can I take?
Just sit on this couch. What can I
ingest? You could take NAD as well as doing those two things and drink some coffee.
Knock yourself out. And if you want to think the NAD did the work for you, think again. It's you went to the gym.
So to keep going here, many members of the team are based at food manufacturer Nestle-owned Nestle Research in Lausanne, Switzerland. The researchers analyzed serum levels of 20 male Chinese individuals ages 65 to 79 with sarcopenia and age-matched healthy controls and found patients with sarcopenia had lower circulating concentrations of trigonelline, a chemical found in plants and animals. Upon further analysis, the researchers found that trigonelline levels were positively associated with muscle mass, grip strength, and gait speed, and higher levels of NAD+ in skeletal muscle. They saw similar results in another cohort. Tissue samples were exposed to trigonelline in vitro, and researchers found myotubes, a type of tissue found in the muscles, had raised NAD levels when treated with trigonelline, but other muscle cells, liver cells, and kidney cells did not. Treating muscle tissue samples from participants and age-matched healthy controls with trigonelline raised NAD levels in both.
Okay, I think the key there, I don't know what that.
Well, they took it out. It's not like they injected it. They took it out.
It was done in a petri,
in vitro.
In vitro, I always tell people, a lot of times things will work in vitro. That's basically doing it in a petri dish in a lab. That's not in humans. And they will also do it and get positive results in animals, but that doesn't mean that it crosses over to humans, right?
Right.
And they'll do worm studies, and they'll do, usually mice and sometimes pigs and what have you. But it doesn't mean that it will work in humans. But they didn't even do that. It doesn't seem like in any other animal, just in vitro. So what I'm saying is, with a grain of salt,
Right.
Let's turn in vitro with a grain of salt here. But go on, Anna. Any more?
I mean, yeah, let me just wrap it up. Worms were then treated. They also showed increased mitochondrial respiration. Researchers gave male older mice, and they showed increased grip strength. Just this mice just grabbing shit. I love it.
Pull-ups.
Yeah, the mice were lifting dumbbells. Okay, how to increase levels of trigonylene in the body.
Okay.
The authors make the point that trigonylene is present in coffee and fenugreek. Fenugreek, of course, being a spice seed thing that you grind up. It's hard to find. We don't have fenugreek in like the regular spice section here at grocery stores. You have to go to like a Indian market or an Asian market and get the seeds, or like a health food store. But toasted and ground and put in curries, it's really good. It's easier to get coffee. They cited research that shows that higher levels of caffeine are associated with lower levels of sarcopenia in Korea, but said their own analysis showed this association is not found in the Middle East. They suggest this could be due to low coffee consumption there. Well, there you go. Yeah. And then it goes on to say Nestle owns the Nescafé coffee brand.
Of course.
Which, by the way, the most caffeine I've ever had in my entire life is the Greek Nescafé frappe. And it's an instant Nescafé that has way more than the legal limit of caffeine than we have here in the US, but you can get it from Greek markets. They import it. And if you like the sound of metallic buzzing in your ears after you have coffee, the Nescafé frappe from Greece is for you. And by the way, the people who taught me that are the Greeks. And so they're the only people crazier than Italians are the Greeks.
It sounds like they did in vitro and in vivo, right? I mean, they went into some animals with this stuff and
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. So,
okay, so
I mean, again, I would take the whole thing with a grain of salt, but it's not like you're going to drink coffee and then all of a sudden you're magically in shape.
Right. And by the way, it's, let's go back. Whenever, they tell you pasta is great, and at the bottom you see it was done by Barilla, the biggest pasta manufacturer in the world. Then you go, okay, you got to take it with a grain of salt. I, who own a very small coffee company, it's a boutique coffee company. Luckily, I don't try to make my living off of it because I go broke, but it's fun to do.
It is fun to do. It's fun to be a shopper.
It operates in the black, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Right. I can't go to the grocery store and go, hey, give me that filet over there. I have a coffee company. Right. But, and I'm a coffee lover. I'm in the coffee business.
Right.
I'm telling you folks, this was done by a company that has finances at stake. So, take that for what it's worth.
Well, it's one of those things that we'll see if it becomes extrapolated into headlines that sweep the nation. Coffee will save you from, your grip strength.
It could vary. Like if one of the networks pick up on it, it will be the biggest thing you've seen for the next 3 or 4 days, and it'll go away.
Well, I want to talk about Villa Capelli, and then we'll wrap up by talking about overtraining, I think.
Yeah. A couple of people were concerned about that. So we'll do a little overtraining thing. But Anna, before we do that, why don't you tell the good folks about the olive oil they can get from Puglia?
Oh my God. Puglia is a region in Italy. It is the heel of the boot.
Beautiful area.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And also extremely affordable, which is why the fact that they transport over their olive oil to us, it's a boon and a miracle, and you should support it. Villa Capelli olive oil, they've been longtime sponsors of this podcast because I've been to the property and watched them make the oil with mine own eyes as early as 2011. That's a long time ago, Vin.
Yeah, that's
a long time ago.
That's, look, we're 2011. Now, think about this. The towers fell in 2002. 2011 was
2001.
2001.
Yeah.
So that was 10 years after that. We're now, we're
now 23 years after that.
Yeah. So we've had more years after that since Anna went to.
I know. It's crazy.
Think about that, right? We've had pandemics that happened since Anna
I know.
went to Puglia.
I know.
to
It's
check
so
out the
crazy.
olive oil.
I mean, I've been back to Puglia several times, but that's the first time I went.
Mhm.
And yes, they have the villa that you can stay at. And I highly recommend that if you're going to Italy, you should get in touch with Villa Capelli and rent
And
out
stay
that
at the
villa.
villa.
Yeah, stay at the villa. It's amazing. And the food is amazing. It's just the whole experience. You will be in the not the anti, but the opposite of America. Because talk about slow food, delicious olive oil.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's healthy. It's easy to do NSNG. It's just delightful. La Dolce Vita. But you want to get this oil to give you a little feeling of that because you're going to be making up marinades and dressings. You're going to be drizzling your olive oil on stuff. I'll even start the pan before I start cooking chicken with olive oil, even if it's a fatty cut of chicken, because I need to get the pan going and get that fat going. You will use this olive oil. And don't be like me and be afraid to cook with it. I saved it for dressings for years. I wouldn't cook with it. And then when you heat it, when I finally came to my senses and heated it up, it has such an incredible flavor heated up. And don't worry about the smoke point of olive oil. It's BS released by the grapeseed oil people to try to get you to buy grapeseed oil, which is a processed seed oil.
And by the way, I was talking about you and that on a podcast just the other day. I said, Anna will tell you that the smoke point thing is BS.
It's BS because Stephen Crutchfield told me. And also other olive oil experts have debunked that. It was a media frenzy, a marketing frenzy to get to basically to slam the original. I mean, olive oil has been a thing for literally eons, for millennia. So get your hands on some Villa Capelli olive oil. It looks like it's still sold out for a couple more weeks. Make sure you put your email address in the 3-liter tin so that when you're notified, you immediately then go buy it and use the discount code Vinnie, VINNIE. You'll get 10% off your order each and every time. So let's talk about overworking. You mentioned this last week.
Yeah.
Overtraining, sorry.
Because, there were, and it turns out in this case, it was all women, but this is not specific to women. I've often said that my job as a trainer was a lot of times to get people to protect them from themselves, right? Because what happens is sometimes when people don't exercise and they're not into athletics or whatever, and they come to it later in life, and then all of a sudden they figure something out, right? They might start running to do a marathon, or they might start, doing whatever. During the pandemic, I know people started rowing and riding indoor bikes and whatever. And they hear guys like me, and I'm probably part of the problem. I'll explain, oh yeah, I do, X amount of aerobics per year. I got to get 365 hours of aerobics in on the books and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
But there's a but in there. The but is sometimes people get into these, I can't take a break. And I was just talking, I was talking to Dr. Nadir Ali on the Friday show. It's coming up probably at the end of this week or next week. So go check it out. And he was a streaker. Nadir rode his bike to work every day for like 4 years. It could be rainy, it could be sunny, it could be hot. He lives about 10 miles away from work. He's a cardiac surgeon. And he would ride the bike to work and he would streak. And he believes in, doing streaks and the whole thing. And I know a lot of streakers. I knew streakers in LA where they would run at least a mile every day. And some of these people had thousands of days in a row, which means like 10 years or something like that, right? Of never missing. They could be sick with the flu or food poisoning or, broken leg or whatever. They're still out there hobbling around, getting their mile in, at least a mile every day, which, on one side of the street, you go, wow, that's commendable. We should be commending these people. On the other side, it's a little nutty, right? My buddy Dan Lynch, who's been on this show, he held the longest streak for a while. It's been beaten. He held the longest streak on a Concept 2, doing at least 2,000 meters a day. Now, Dan has done, I was talking to him not long ago, over 24 million meters.
Whoa.
On machines. So he's Yeah, he's serious about it. And he lost his streak. He made it all the way through cancer treatment by getting someone to bring a Concept 2 into the hospital, which when you start doing that, that's crazy talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until Dan had a heart procedure where the doctor said you can't do exercise for the next amount of time that the streak was broken. And then Dan's record was surpassed by the one other idiot in the world that's doing the same
Right.
thing. Right. So I get these people that are doing it. And part of the problem is, especially, I'll call these people lay people, like these three women who, I talked to, they were in my VIP group, Megan, Susie, and Robin, I think,
Mm-hmm.
the names. And all three of them were like, well, if we stop, then we might not ever start again.
Mm.
Right. And I get where you're coming from, but taking a day off to let, because I've always said that, you do the exercise and you have to absorb the exercise. Your body has to rest and rebuild. And if you're never giving your body a moment to rebuild and you go, well, geez, Vinnie, you do an hour a day. No. I didn't say an hour a day. I said at least 365 hours a year,
Mm-hmm.
which means on a Saturday, I might go for a longer run, or I might be in a kayak or a rowboat for a few hours, right? That covers several hours a week. I don't actually do aerobics every single day. I'm not streaking on aerobics, right?
Right.
I have rest periods. On days when I do leg day, I never do aerobics on leg day. Well, I can't say never. Sometimes I do, but it's really light stuff, right? But, leg day, I never do it. Some upper body days, I won't do it. I'll just do the weights that day. You don't have to do it every day, but when you do it, for me, I would do 90 minutes the next day. On the weekends, I might do 2.5 hours or 3 hours doing something, hiking, going up a mountain. I might do that for 4 hours. Hell, that covers damn near over half a week right there.
Yeah.
Right. You just need to get 7 hours in a weekend, and one day I can get 4 hours. Right. So think of it that way. You got to let your body rest. Just as important as it is to exercise, it's important to let your body rest, absorb what the exercise is giving you, and then go back into it. Right? That's how you get better.
You know what?
Not continuing to tear your body apart. Go on, Anna.
I'm remembering when we did a plank challenge in the AF group. I remember Kurt was in there. Leona was in there. There were a bunch of us in there doing a plank challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And for me personally, what I wanted to do was 30 days of planking in a row. But every day I'd do a few seconds more. So I started on day one at a minute, and I worked my way up to like 5 minutes of planking by the end of the month, which doesn't seem like much.
But that's
for me,
impressive.
it was. For me, it was.
Yeah.
Just my only rule is I had to do it every day, and I had to do a few seconds more. And then I talked to you about it after it was done, and aren't I so proud of myself? And you said, hold on.
Yeah.
Your challenge should be amended to be the following. Do it every other day so that your body can have a day to adjust and rest. And I bet you'd make it even further. Actually, I think now that I remember, I think I got up to like 8 minutes in there. Like it was a lot for me.
Yeah.
It was like pretty far. So you're like, you need that time off to rest. And I hear you on that. However, then I kind of let it go. Like, so I understand that people say like, oh, you take a day off, then you're not, I don't know, the streak, it just feels good to do it.
Right. It does feel good. And that's what I'm trying to get you to understand.
Yeah.
Mentally, you just have to, I get when people want to do contests like that and say, hey, we're going to do this for 30 days AF every day. That's fine. But you can't continue on like that through life. So what are you going to, you're going to be like my buddy, what's his name? Hood. Can't think of his first name right now, who has like the longest plank record. It's like you plank for a gazillion hours. George Hood. Can you look up George Hood?
Oh, yeah, George Hood. We had him on the show, didn't we? Years ago.
Yeah, look up George and see who owns the plank record right now. I think his record And by the way, he had like the record on the indoor spinner too. It was like he brought it to 24 hours and some guy took it to
8 hours, 15 minutes, and 15 seconds.
Okay. Does he own the record right now? Did someone else get
As
it?
of 2020.
I think someone's beaten that now. And he's coached a bunch of people. I think he's coached some women to go much past that. George ended up doing the spinning, on the spinner. I mean, they were getting up into the 60 and 72 hour spinning thing, right?
Yeah.
It got crazy, So, yeah, there are people who do that kind of crazy stuff.
Oh, now it's Joseph Salek from the Czech Republic. 9 hours, 38 minutes, and 47 seconds.
Yeah. And by the way, George was no spring chicken when he was doing that at 8 hours. So the guy's built like a brick shit house.
Mm-hmm. He was 62 when he got the 8 hour one.
Yeah, it's amazing. And if you saw his body, you would go, there's no sarcopenia going on there. No, not at all. George is an incredible human being. But yeah, I mean, all of this stuff is possible and probable, but 8 minutes becomes 9 minutes, 10 minutes, and then you're doing this every day and you become a prisoner to the thing, right?
Yeah.
That's why it's important to take a little time and to do, just do other things. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Stay fresh, folks. Don't get stale.
Stay fresh.
If you're doing one thing, change it up to something else. Folks, we're going to stop it right there because, quite frankly, I've had enough. Anna, you have anything else you want to add before we give your plugs out and everything?
No, I'm good.
I want to personally thank you for the Arrabbiata that you sent me.
You got it finally.
Serena is out of town doing some acting.
Oh, I know what's going to happen.
Oh,
you're going to pour that on some meat and make some spicy bachelor chili.
It's already happened.
The crime? A crime has been committed?
Yeah.
Was it a crime of passion?
I didn't do the true crime because I just had the ground beef and some sausage, and I put the arrabbiata in there. And then what I did was after I cooked it down, I put it in the oven, and I put fresh mozzarella on top.
Oh.
And let it bubble on there like that.
That was a choice.
Yeah. It's like, look, I know what I'm doing when it comes to the arrabbiata. Folks, if you want to get your hands on some of Anna's sauces and her powders, go to, by the way, we're now using your barbecue powder on fish regularly.
It's like, it's become the go-to.
Yeah. And folks, don't go, barbecue on fish. No, it doesn't. It comes out. It tastes like
it's almost like a blackened salmon.
It's not almost. It becomes a blackened. I've done it on trout too. I add a lot of salt and some lemon on there too. But
yeah, sounds great.
I put it in there, and it does. It works like a charm. So, folks, if you want your fish to taste good, if you want to have some great meat, go get these powders. I'm doing seafood tonight, and I also take the dill and I put it in a little creme fraiche, and I mix it up. And, I have that with my fish. I feel like I'm in a fancy restaurant.
A lady stopped me in the grocery store today. Karen, I believe is her name. She stopped me before.
Karen stopped
Yeah. And she said to me, they don't sell your spices here. And I was like, you know what? They do. Because we happen to be, since it's my local grocery store, they sell my spices. But for the rest of you guys, and she bought a thing of the dill. For the rest of you guys, the best way you can support, because everyone knows about the journey into retail, into grocery, and what a grueling adventure that is. The best thing you can do to support is order the spices and the sauces online. So place your orders, please, please, please. That's what's that's what's enabling us to get into the grocery. It's a process.
Yeah.
But we need the sales. So stock up if you're not stocked up.
Help Anna help you.
Yeah.
Yeah. EatHappyKitchen.com. Go check it out. The books are amazing. Eat Happy and Eat Happy 2.
And still, Eat Happy 2 is $19.53 on Amazon. I have no idea why. They're going to revoke it and go back up to the full retail $34.99 any minute now, I'm sure. But that book is so good. Go grab it.
Don't go straight there and grab it. Go to VinnieTortorich.com. Click through the back. Puts a little coal on the fire, gets our train down the track.
Correct.
We're able to keep this show free for a gazillion years in a row.
So many years.
Yeah, like a million years.
Yeah. It feels like it.
So do that. Oh, don't forget to rate and review this podcast.
Oh, this is very important, you guys.
Yeah, rate and review. And people, I got a call from my vitamin company. Hey, people are writing to us and they want to know when with the VIP. Go to VinnieTortorich.com/VIP. Put your name in. If I open it up in May or June or whenever I decide to open it up again, you will be the first to know. People have been begging me to get in. It's an accountability group. We do it twice a month. Listen, folks, you never know when I'm going to open it up again. I tell you guys, when I open it, get in. Get in. You never know when it's going to open.
Get in.
So if you want to be in, get in. But we need your email address ahead of time so you can be the first to know. All right. So on behalf of Anna Vocino, my name is Vinnie Tortorich. Put life into living, and let's do it with a little more of the boys of Dire Straits.